move down number 2, runway 7 left, wind 120 at 6.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of David Vanderlyk and his entire team at Hellcat Productions, welcome to NAS Pensacola. This is the home of Blue Angels, and right now we are ready to watch a kind of a historic moment for the Blue Angels. This is the final flight of their FA-18 Legacy Hornets before they transition to the FA-18 Super Hornet. And they've got quite a show to put on for the city of Pensacola and some of the other beach towns up and down the coast. And right now they have, the pilots have just started their aircraft. They just tested their smoke. And we will be showing you as much as we can of the aircraft as they taxi out and also as they get ready to take off in their flight of 6. And they'll be flying the formation called Delta, all 6 aircraft together in a Delta formation. And as they leave here at Forrest Sherman Field, they'll take off at about 4 o'clock, 1600 for you military types. And once they leave here, they will be heading to the west. They'll be going down to Perdido Key Beach, then down to Orange Beach, all the way to Fort Morgan, Alabama. Then they will be turning around and coming back up by Perdido Key, then to Pensacola Beach, and then on up to Navarre Beach before they make another turn and come back down the bay. They'll be going down to the city of Pensacola, and then they'll be heading north up Palafox, all the way up to Ferry Pass. And once they get up there, they'll be almost done with their flight, and they'll be turning south, coming down Scenic Highway along Escambia Bay, and returning here to NAS Pensacola. As I said, this is a historic moment because this is the final flight for these guys to fly the Legacy Hornets, and they are looking forward to starting their transition to the FA-18 Super Hornet. And they'll be actually, they've been flying them a little bit while they've been here at the base, and they'll actually start some practice sessions on November 16th. And then when they, at the end of the year, starting in 1 January, the entire team will be going out to El Centro, California, Naval Air Station El Centro, just east of San Diego, California, where they spend 10 weeks out in the desert. And they spend that 10 weeks doing a lot of team building, getting to know each other, getting to know all the maneuvers. And there will be some changes. We don't know exactly how many changes are going to be made to the maneuvers as they use the F-18 Super Hornet. But we will find out when they return back here at the end of March of 2021. In just a moment, they'll taxi out. And when they start that, we'll introduce the members of the team, and we'll let you know who's going to be flying these aircraft. Wayne?
Yeah,
okay. And Wayne, you are welcome to join in anytime. And those of you who are watching on the live stream, we will be, we have a camera out here at the field, and we are looking at the Blue Angels right now. We also have a camera in downtown Pensacola that will capture the flight as they go up Palafox. And we do have a cameraman out on Pensacola Beach. I'm not sure if he's going to take video or he may be taking some beautiful still photos as they fly. All right, a moment, if we can switch the camera. Here we go. And the Blue Angels are taxiing out again for the final time in their FA-18 Legacy Hornets. They've been flying these Hornets since 1986. So about 35 years flying this aircraft. As they taxi out, let me introduce the team to you. Flying with the number 1 aircraft, the first one you see coming by is the boss of the Blues, Navy Commander Brian Kesselring. This is Commander Kesselring's first year as the boss of the Blues, and he will be the boss next year as they transition to the new aircraft. Commander Kesselring is from Fargo, North Dakota, and they call him the boss. Flying number 2, this is on the right wing of the boss, Lieutenant Commander James Haley. James is from Canadian, Texas, and this is his first year with the Blue Angels, and he will get to stay one more year, so he will be part of the transition. Flying the number 3 aircraft, the left wing on the boss, the Marine pilot, part of this flight, Major Frank Zastapil. And Major Zastapil is from Kingwood, Texas, and this is his first year with the Blue Angels, and he will be staying over for the 2021 season. Flying number 4, the coveted slot position, Lieutenant Commander Jim Cox, and he is from Chesapeake, Virginia, and he's in his second year with the Blue Angels, and he will get to stay one more year flying the slot position with the Super Hornet. The number 5 aircraft, normally being the lead solo, but he'll be out on the right wing of the flight today as they do the Delta, Navy Commander Ben Walborn. And Commander Walborn, also known as Walleye, that's his call sign. He's from Reading, Pennsylvania, and he has just come back to the Blues to replace Lieutenant Commander Brandon Hempler, who was leaving the Blues and going back to the fleet. But Commander Walborn was with the Blue Angels in the 2010 and 2011 season, and he has come back to be a part of the new team as they transition to the Super Hornet. And rounding out the team, the number 6, normally would be called the opposing solo. He'll be on the left wing of the Delta formation, Lieutenant Commander Kerry Rickoff. Kerry is from Atlanta, Georgia, and last year he was the narrator of the Blue Angels. This year he gets to fly the number 6 position, and he will be in that position when they transition to the new Super Hornet. All right, Wayne.
Just as you came to me, it broke up. Say it again, please.
I said, I will shut up and let you talk for a while.
No, it's just good to see these guys taxiing out. A couple of things. The number 5 and the number 6 2-seat F18s. And so they have somebody in their backseat. I assume it's probably photographers of some sort, so that they're recording this final flight. It'll be interesting to see what. Too bad we don't have live feed coming directly from one of those airplanes, so we could see them as they're going down the beach. And I also noticed.
Wouldn't that be great?
I also noticed the gray F-18 taxiing out behind them with some guys. So maybe that might be a photo bird that's taking some shots as well as they go up and down the beach.
I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. I'd love to be one of those guys in the back seat.
Yeah, it'd be great to be a part of this final trip. I'm lucky enough to be part of the transition 34 years ago, I guess it was, when we went from the A4 to the Hornet. Oddly enough, I noticed that you said the boss is from Fargo, North Dakota. Well, the boss I had at that time was Commander Gil Rude. He's from Portland, North Dakota. So I don't know what it is the Blue Angels have with farm boys from North Dakota. You'd think they'd have somebody closer to the water, but they're obviously the right guys to pick to transition the team from one airplane to the next. Yeah.
They do. They get from North Dakota and Texas is where most of them seem to come from.
Yeah.
All right, right now they are taxiing out. They are almost out to the end of the runway. They'll be taking off on runway 7 right here at Forrest Sherman Field. And once they get airborne, again, they will be turning probably to the right and be turning to the west as they make their way down to Orange Beach and Fort Morgan, Alabama. And for those of you who love statistics, the Super Hornet that they will begin flying as soon as about a couple of weeks, they'll be actually starting to fly it as a member of the team. This airplane is a lot heavier. To look at the Super Hornet and the Legacy Hornet side by side, you don't see much difference other than the jet engine intakes. In the Super Hornet, they're rectangular, and in the Legacy Hornet, they are oval shaped. But the Legacy Hornet is a bit smaller. The Super Hornet gross weight about 47,000 pounds, whereas the Legacy Hornet was about 37,000 pounds. And the Super Hornet max takeoff weight off the carrier, they can weigh up to about 66,000 pounds, whereas the Legacy Hornet was about 51,900 pounds. So there is a difference in size. Airspeed, pretty much the same. I think the Legacy can do about 1.8 times the speed of sound, 1.8 Mach, and the Super Hornet can do about 1.7. So there's not much difference in the speed. But the weight that the Super Hornet can carry is far exceeds that of the Legacy Hornet.
I think the biggest difference that people will notice next year in the air show is how big the airplane is. It'll be very similar in size to the F4 Phantom. If anybody's old enough that's watching this, remember back to the late 60s and early 70s, they flew the F4 Phantom, which was the biggest airplane they had ever flown in the air show. Then we went to the A4 from there, and then the Legacy Hornet for the last 30 some years. Oh. So it'll be interesting to see a bigger airplane in the air show once again. Obviously, it'll have far more performance than the F4.
They got like 3 there and 4 there. I'm not sure what they're doing. Well, yesterday they were flying the Super Hornet, the gray one with the 2 Legacies.
They're launching now. They got the smoke on. They're rolling.
All right, smoke is on, ladies and gentlemen. The Blue Angels are on the roll, getting ready for that final show with the Legacy F18 Hornet. Here they come. Number 5 and 6 right behind it. Got the cameras good solos. Behind the Blue Angels is a gray Super Hornet. And I think they're going to be doing some of the photo op, shooting a lot of the video of this final flight. All right, so if any of you are listening and you happen to live down Perdido Key, Orange Beach, or Fort Morgan, this would be a good time to get out on the beach and take a look at them, because they're going to be coming right by you at about
I don't think so. I think they're going to be back after that's over. So, yep.
Wayne, I think one of the other differences people are going to notice at the air shows with the Super Hornet is going to be the sound. It is going to be a lot louder.
Yeah, a lot more performance, and obviously far more performance than the F4 had back in the 70s. So right. Hopefully we'll be able to keep the air show tighter, closer to the crowd, and keep the maneuvers close. So you'll be able to see the things that they do, even when they're setting up maneuvers behind the crowd or further away. If you've got your head on a swivel, you can watch the maneuvers being set up as they're bringing them to the center point over the center part of the air show.
I remember one of the great things about the A4 Skyhawk when they started flying it was it could stay very close around the crowd.
Yeah, the A4.
The Super Hornet can turn on a dime.
Yeah, the A4 didn't have that performance. It didn't have an afterburner, so it was a subsonic airplane.
No.
They definitely worked to keep it close to the crowd. They had to keep the power up about as high as they could and turn it around as quick as they could to get the air show back, or the maneuver back in as quick as they could.
Right. Wayne, I just got word that they have hooked up the auxiliary power unit to Fat Albert. So we are pretty sure, and we're hoping anyway, that they are going to start up Fat Albert. And if so, we'll get to watch Fat Albert taxi out and take off here in just a few moments. We'll let you know.
Well, I definitely hope so. It's a brand new airplane for the team. Actually, if I understand correctly, they got it from Great Britain, from the British there, and then spent the last several months, I'm not sure how many, getting it set up so that they could use it for all the Blue Angel air shows and getting their people, parts, mechanics, personnel back and forth to all the air shows around the country. And they've changed the paint job just slightly. It's not the exact paint job that the old Fat Albert Airlines used to have on it. It's a little bit different, a little more streamlined, and I think it's going to put on a great show once they get it back into the air show.
For those of you who may never have seen Fat Albert fly before, Fat Albert, again, does its own air show. It usually flies before the Blue Angels take to the skies. And the neat thing about the C-130 Hercules, which is what Fat Albert is that airplane can take off and land in about 1,000 feet of runway. That's what makes it such a great airplane. And during the air shows, the pilots of Fat Albert actually demonstrate that capability. It's an all-marine crew that flies Fat Albert. And again, the Fat Albert's responsible for making sure that all of the personnel, supplies, aircraft parts, everything the team needs for a weekend air show, they make sure all of those things get there on time. But this year, the flight crew, we have 3 Marine captains that are flying Fat Albert. One is Rick Rose, Captain Rick Rose, and he's from Napa, California. Captain William Huckerbaugh is from Hoover, Alabama. And the third captain, Jackson Strife, is from Omaha, Nebraska. So they're kind of spread around the country. And as Wayne was saying, this Fat Albert that they just got, this is the newest one they've had, and they got it this summer. But they got it from the Royal Air Force, and it is a C-130J model. And as Wayne also said, it is painted pretty. And as you can see, we have our camera in downtown Pensacola. So we'll be able to give you some great video, some great live streaming when the Blue Angels come back into Pensacola.
One other note on the C-130, you're talking about the performing in the show. What they used to do, for those that have been around a number of years, they used to see the JATO takeoff, J-A-T-O, jet assisted takeoff. And what they did is they strapped 4 basically rocket bottles on each side of the aft part of the airplane. And it would roll down the runway. And then just as they started to rotate to take the airplane airborne, they would fire those bottles, which the crowd really liked because it was smoke and fire and noise. And it's really unusual to see an airplane the size of the C-130 fly nearly straight up to about 1,000 feet, and then they would push it over and then fly a few other maneuvers. But that was the part that really got the attention of the crowd. From what I understand, with this new airplane, it's a much newer airplane, the J model. It's got different horsepower, different propellers that give it significant more performance. And from what I understand, it will still be able to do that near vertical takeoff, just like the old C-130 did with the JATO bottles. Obviously, this will not use those JATO bottles. They don't use those anymore. Those were basically antique Vietnam era bottles that no longer exist. But it'll be fun to see this airplane take off and still do that near vertical takeoff.
Yeah, this one will, once they get airborne, it will climb almost straight up to about 1,000 feet. Those of you who have had an opportunity to come out to the flight line when you visit the museum and get to watch the Blue Angels, out on the flight line, we have one of the original Fat Albert C-130s on display. And the JATO bottles that Wayne is talking about are still on there. So you can see what these things. JATO bottles, like Wayne said, are no more. They don't even make them anymore. But because the aircraft today, the engines are just so powerful. But when you get a chance to come out to the flight line, and we hope we'll be able to open that flight line up in the end of March when the Blue Angels come back to the event, Albert, and next walk inside to see how big this aircraft really is.
Folks, if you've been able to see the view of Fat Albert, it looks to me like one of the pilots just did a pre-flight and climbed aboard. That's no guarantee that they're going to move the airplane, but it's looking promising for you Fat Albert fans.
We can hope.
But while we've got a quiet moment, I'll throw in a little trivia story. Before I joined the Navy, I was teaching school and didn't really like it very much. And one of my younger sisters was taking flight lessons. And I thought, well, that was pretty cool. Maybe I should try doing that. So that ended up getting me into the Navy. Well, as a long story short, she now runs the C-130 simulator for Lockheed Martin up in Atlanta. So it's, the family has a connection to Fat Albert in the C-130. And if it hadn't been for her, I would have probably never flown an airplane. A little trivia there.
Do you ever get a chance to go up and fly that simulator?
I did. I went back there last November, I think it was, and she had some extra time, and so she threw me in there with one of my nephews who had not been there. He's about 20, 21 years old, or 22, I guess. And so I sat co-pilot and let him fly it, and we had a great time for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes that she had available.
Oh, that's terrific.
I didn't fly it that well.
Wayne, we should have you introduce yourself to the crowd. They may not even know who they're listening to.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Wayne Molnar. I was on the last A4 team in 1986. I was the narrator that year. And then we switched to the F18, the Legacy Hornet that you're seeing fly today. And so I got to fly the first 2 years with that airplane. I was number 6 and then number 5, the opposing solo first, and then became the lead solo the following year. So it was great to be a part of both of those teams. I didn't get to fly the air show in the A4, but I was the narrator that year. So it was a lot of fun being part of that team and then making the transition. And so I got 2 years flying the F18 in the air show. So that was a bit of a learning curve for us, because as the team is probably doing this year, you don't know quite what that airplane does best or how best to show it off. So what we did then was we tried to make the F18 fly the same basic air show that the A4 did. And some of the things translated quite well, and so we kept the maneuver pretty much as it was. Might have changed the airspeed a little faster, a little slower to make it handle better, but most of it worked out okay. Other maneuvers, not so well, and so we tried to a few maneuvers along the way. Some of them we only flew for a month or two and decided, nah, that's not a very good one, and so we would try to improvise. And over the years, the team has really perfected the air show. It's a far cry different than what we first flew it in 1987. So if you saw an air show last year, 30 years later, whatever it is, you saw a much better F-18 air show than we flew that first year.
A couple of days ago, we were out here and we were doing a live stream on probably the last practice for the Blue Angels in the Legacy Hornet, and we're talking about Brandon Hempler, because Brandon just left the Blue Angels, and he had been like you. He had done the narrator, and then he'd been with the Blues for a couple of years, so it was time for him to go. I don't know if he wanted to stay or not, but we're talking to people it's really got to be a bittersweet moment when you leave the squadron, and he's probably going back to the fleet. What was it like for you?
Yeah, you said exactly right. He's going back to the fleet. He'll do what they call a department head tour. It's part of his leadership and training, and eventually he'll probably become an F-18 squadron commander and then move on from there. But if you talk to old Blue Angels, most all of them would say if they would let you stay there and fly that airplane and do air shows for the rest of your life, you would.
I bet that's
I
right.
you know, I kept thinking when they sent Brandon back to the fleet and they were bringing in Ben Walburn to come back, I thought, they could have asked me. I could have, but no, everybody had such a good time. I remember telling somebody years ago, within the first, I don't know, 5 or 10 years after I had left the Blue Angels, that I had already lived the greatest 3 years of my life. And they thought, oh, that's so sad. I went, no, you don't understand. It was so much fun that I will never have 3 years that were that great, that much fun, flying great airplanes, going around the country with great people, the friends you make on the team, the other pilots, the maintenance guys, the other officers on the team. I'm still very close friends with many of those guys. And so it was a once in a lifetime experience that every one of us has cherished. A lot of us say we have two different lives. I had the life that I had before I became a Blue Angel, and then there was this fork in the road. And then there was a life I, had after being a Blue Angel, because it changed everything in my life after that. So it's just been a great experience. And even, so many decades later, I hate to say that, it's still great to be part of the Blue Angel family.
Wayne, I'm looking at the Fat Albert. It looks like they have the two starboard engines have started up. So we don't know if they're just going to taxi to another location or if they're actually going to taxi out and take off. But we're hoping for takeoff.
Yeah, I'm hoping for takeoff too, although you would have thought they might have gone first, because they obviously don't fly nearly as fast as the jets do. And if they were going to kind of say goodbye to the North Florida and Alabama area, you would think they would have already launched to do that. But maybe they have other plans. Hopefully they'll get in the air and we'll get to see them fly.
All right, we've got 3 engines started up.
And hopefully we'll get a little better look at the new paint job. I haven't seen it myself, but I heard it's a little different than the traditional paint job that was always on the old Fat Albert.
It is a little different. I love it. It's a beautiful paint job. Wayne, when Commander Ben Walborn was with the Blue Angels, he followed pretty much the same line that you did. He came in as the narrator, and then he was number 6, and then he was number 5. And it's got to be great for him. He's got to be
yeah,
it's got to be a thrill for him to come back.
Yeah, all of us ex-solo pilots are jealous that he got the nod to come back. Oh, there's the team flying by again.
All right, the team finished their Western tour down to Fort. Where were they going? Down to Fort Morgan, Alabama. So they're just now passing NAS Pensacola, and in just a moment they'll be flying by Pensacola Beach and then up to Navarre Beach, and then they'll be making the turn back down and coming into downtown Pensacola right on Palafox. So we've got a good saw a good picture there just a second ago. You'll be able to see the Blue Angels, I think, as they pass by Pensacola on their way up to Navarre Beach. Wayne, all 4 engines are started on Fat Albert, so in a moment we're going to find out if they're going to fly or not.
I'm happy to see
There they go.
Oh, there's a good shot. Yep.
That's a great shot.
Seeing the smoke come on, a lot of people are curious about that. It's like, well, how do you turn the smoke on? Basically, there's a switch on the left. In your left hand runs the throttles back and forth. There are 2 throttles, one for each engine. And on the inside knob under your thumb is a switch that moves forward and aft. And when the boss says smoke on, you pull the little switch back, and that starts the smoke. And then when he says smoke off, you push the switch forward, and that turns it off. What the smoke is actually, it's just from what I understand, and that may have changed over the last 30 years, it was what they called a paraffin-based oil, biodegradable, so it doesn't hurt the environment or anything. And what it is, it's a tank that's mounted up in the nose of the airplane where the radar used to be, or the gun. and then they ran a tube back to the left engine. And if you're up close to the airplane, you can see this little tube. It's about the size of a pencil, maybe a little bit bigger. And when you turn the smoke switch on, it pumps this this paraffin-based oil into the exhaust, and basically it burns it. So that's what makes the smoke appear. So the one other time that you don't see the smoke is during certain maneuvers when the airplanes go into afterburner, the smoke disappears. And that's because the heat is so intense that it burns it so well that it doesn't smoke anymore. So you'll only see the smoke when they're not in afterburner, and when the boss obviously calls for the smoke on or then smoke off. I should have thought of more trivia to tell everybody while we're waiting for them to come back. It might be another 5 or 10 minutes. Well, here's something I'll tell you. Okay.
When the Super Hornets arrive here, before they get painted up and become Blue Angel aircraft, as Wayne said, they have to remove that cannon out of the nose so that they can make room for the apparatus that makes the smoke. All right, we're still waiting, Wayne, for the Fat Albert is moving right now. So in just a moment, we're going to know if Fat Albert is going to be flying or not.
Great. It'll be good to see it, even if it doesn't fly.
It will be. It looks like the Delta formation is just passing Pensacola Beach right now. And as soon as they get to Navarre, they'll be turning left and coming back down to Pensacola, going up Palafox. All right, if we can switch to the camera here at the base, you can watch Fat Albert taxi out. There we go. There's what it looks like, Wayne.
Yeah, not much different, but yeah, a little bit different design.
It's pretty and shiny.
It's beautiful. Good to see it. Good to see it.
And they are on their way to runway 7 right. So in just a few minutes, they'll do their checks out of the runway. They'll be ready to roll. We'll get to watch that. And hopefully they'll do hopefully they'll make a show of it and do the climb out.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. I don't know if they've already perfected that maneuver or not. I know they do some training before they start doing it.
What a sight.
Now let me add a little bit more trivia while we're waiting. People ask, how do are the airplanes flown by computers or autopilots? A lot of people think the maneuvers are somehow done by the airplane. They are not. It's all visual. It's the pilot. He's flying the airplane 100% of the time. He's using his eyes to fly off of the airplane. Wait on the noise. The way he lines up his airplane so he's in the proper spot is your head is basically under the wingtip of the airplane ahead of you. And so you're looking under the wing and you're lining up the forward edge of the wing, if I'm explaining this very well, against some marks on the side of the fuselage. It might be near the boss's canopy. It might be some lettering a little farther back. They put some marks on the airplane. And as long as you're lining up the forward edge of the wing with those marks, then you're in the proper spot. And as long as everybody looks like the perfect formation.
And Wayne, we advertised to the crowd that they're looking at 18 inches separation between that wingtip and canopy. Can you vouch for that?
Well, really, that's only on one maneuver, if I understand it right. I was not one of the Diamond pilots, but the Diamond 360, which is one of the first maneuvers the Diamond does in the air show, the number 3 pilot, in order to make the formation look like a diamond to the crowd, he is tucked way up under the boss's wing. And so, yes, he is probably, 2 to 3 feet or less from the boss's wing. Other maneuvers, like right now when they're flying it with all 6 airplanes together, they're probably 4 to 5 feet apart. A lot of the Diamond maneuvers are roughly 3 feet apart. And that's assuming that the weather is cooperative. If the air is smooth, you can tighten it up. If it's a bumpy day, then you obviously you ease things out a little bit to give yourself more room. What you hope is as the formation goes through the rough area, you all bounce through it together. What you don't want to have happen is the boss bounce and then the wingman bounce and then the solos are on the corners, have them bounce. You pray that you all bounce at the same time. But when the air is rough, the slot pilot, he kind of controls the formation. He will call for the formation to ease out, and so they will move it out to a little wider set, they call it. And that way everybody's got room to kind of bounce along as the turbulence dictates.
All right, Wayne, it looks like the Delta formation is approaching Palafox right now. They're getting ready to turn. Looks like they're turning north right up Palafox, downtown Pensacola. What a beautiful shot. And at the same time here at the base, Fat Albert is getting ready to roll.
Too bad
and Fat Albert is on the roll. Here we go.
Oh.
He's going to make a normal takeoff.
All right. Hopefully the streets of downtown Pensacola are lined with people, because that's
I hope they are.
Like a beautiful day, great environment to see the final flight.
So right up downtown Pensacola they go. Smoke is on, and in just a moment they will be making a turn up at the large bridge crossing Escambia Bay. Then they will turn south, come down Scenic Highway, back over Pensacola and back home to Forest Sherman Field. There we've got a good shot of Fat Albert. And Fat Albert's going to show off themselves a little bit.
I'm glad to see them get in the air. Yeah, this is coming to a close pretty quick. The 6 jets will probably be back in the last 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most, and it'll be done. So enjoy it while we can.
Wayne, we've been telling folks that in January, the boss will take the entire team out to El Centro, California. They're going to spend 10 weeks. And did you guys fly at least twice a day while you were out there?
True. Depending on how you're doing, you fly twice a day, once early in the morning and then once in the early afternoon. If you're falling behind or the weather gets into problems, sometimes you will add on a third flight. Sometimes you fly two flights on a Saturday, or maybe one in Saturday morning and take the day off. Just depends on the progress of the team, and you hope everybody's doing well. But yeah, it's a very busy time. Not a lot of recreational time, although a lot of guys will go to the gym or go for a run after the day is done. But it's very intense. You brief early in the morning for an hour and a half, covering every maneuver. Then you go out and fly for an hour or so. You come back and debrief for probably an hour and a half, covering every maneuver. They're all filmed, so you got to watch the video and you kind of discuss what you did poorly or what you could do better and how to improve for the next flight.
For any of you who have been part of an athletic team of any kind, you know how important teamwork is. And it's important to the Blue Angels. And one of the words I like to use is during that 10 weeks, they get to know each other. They learn to trust each other. And trust is probably the key word here, because I need to know that the guy flying on my right or left wing is going to be doing his job while I'm doing mine, and that we're all going to be doing what we are trained to do. So they work all that out during that 10 weeks. And at the end of that 10 weeks, you are looking at a real solid team ready to put on the show season.
Absolutely true. And the team gets better and better as the season goes on. If you were to watch an air show in March or April and then watch that same team in October or so, you will notice a much better air show, because they get better and better as the season goes on.
Those of us who get to work the flight line when the Blue Angels practice, we become critics. And we always say around July, we think they've perfected it. They're doing well. All right, we've got a great shot. The Blues they're on their way back. They just passed over Pensacola. They are very close to the field right now. They're going to be coming into the break, and you'll get to watch what we call a pitch-up break that the Blues do when they come back to land. That didn't take long, Wayne.
No, the speeds they're flying, and actually they could fly obviously much, much faster, but this is a comfortable speed for flying close formation. And also you don't want to fly by so fast that nobody gets to see it. You know, you want to linger for a moment if you can, so everybody can watch it.
While we're waiting, might point out the Blue Angels will tell you that they are not stunt pilots. They are naval aviators, and what you get to see them do is what naval aviators are trained to do. And formation flying is one of the key elements of what all of us naval aviators had to do. About midway through jet training, you start learning to fly formation, and you get really good at it because anytime you leave the carrier, you're usually going out in a two plane or 4 plane or sometimes 16 aircraft going out together. And there's one leader and the rest of them are flying on the wing. And when we get back to the carrier, we get into tight formation because every squadron, their reputation is based on how good they look when they come back to the carrier and how well the pilots do at landing on the ship. So what you're going to see now as the boss brings the Blue Angels around for what they call a pitch-up break, you're going to get to see how naval aviators land. They don't land like regular pilots who hold the airplane off and squeak it on. We do what's called, we call it a controlled crash, because when we land on an aircraft carrier, we have to land on a spot. We actually sometimes refer to it as planting the airplane. But the Blue Angels, all naval aviators, whether they're landing on the carrier or they're landing on an airfield, they land exactly the same way. They fly down to a point and they plant that airplane. The landing gear on these aircraft are really beefed up to take the punishment. So we got a beautiful shot as they are coming around for the break. Let's watch. We have a beautiful sunset we're looking at to the west out here. And the Blue Angels are going to be flying. We're going to be looking right into the sun as they come in for their landing.
A golden send-off.
There it is. That's a beautiful shot. What a picture.
That's classic.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the Blue Angels and their famous pitch-up break. That jet engine noise you hear, we refer to it around here as the sound of freedom. It's a beautiful sound, and we'd love to hear it. All right, the pilots are going through their landing checklist, making sure the gear and the flaps are down and all the aircraft instruments are all set. And in just a moment, the boss of the Blues, Commander Brian Kesselring, will be touching down. And Wayne, I understand that some of these Blue Angel Hornets will be on their way to museums around the country.
That's definitely true. I know one of them for sure is going to a museum in Dallas. The number 8 guy when I was on the team, Bill Campbell, he lives in the Dallas area, and one of our other teammates, Pat Walsh, he ended up retiring as a 4-star admiral. So they're going to, I think, put Pat Walsh's name on that airplane and put it in the museum there at Dallas Love Field. I think they're trying to dedicate that in January sometime, assuming that the COVID doesn't keep everybody from away from being able to attend it.
I just heard from a friend of mine up in North Carolina that up in Hickory, North Carolina, they've got an aviation museum up there, and they're looking forward to receiving number 5.
Oh, really? Fantastic. Are they putting my name on it?
I'll let me see what I can do. All right, the boss is on the ground. Number 2 just touched down, Lieutenant Commander James Haley. Number 3 is just touching down, Major Frank Zastapil. Followed by number 4, Lieutenant Commander Jim Cox. And right behind him, number 5, Commander Ben Wellborn. And number 6, Lieutenant Commander Kerry Rickoff. And as we said, Commander Wellborn is a former Blue Angel who came back to fill the number 5 slot as they get ready to transition to the Super Hornet. So the team that just flew this aircraft is the team that is going to be going out to El Centro, California, and starting the training for next year's air show season 2021. And they'll be going out to El Centro with the entire team. The entire Blue Angel squadron is out there.
I think the first air show is scheduled for April in Jacksonville. I want to say the April 10th or 11th, something like that.
I think that's right.
And if I recall, the very first air show back in 1946 was flown in Jacksonville. So I assume there's some reason for making the first show back in Jacksonville.
I think you're right. All right, everybody's down, including the Super Hornet that was the chase plane taking all the photographs. And in a moment, you'll get to see them taxi. And the Blue Angels do everything in formation. So right now, the boss is, as you can see, one of the shots you have, you can see he's gathering the birds together. And as soon as he gets everyone together, they will get in formation and they will taxi back to the flight line, all in formation just the way they left. And now you can see the plane captains are walking out, getting ready to greet the pilots as they come back in. Each aircraft belongs to enlisted personnel, and they take care of these airplanes like they are their own. Wayne, I want to thank you for being a part of this. It was fun having a former Blue Angel to talk to while we watched these guys fly. So we appreciate it very much.
It was an honor. I appreciate you being part of the first F-18 and part of the final.
And you're seeing some live shots now. The aircraft have just taxied back into the line. And you see the plane captain standing and waiting for the pilots to exit the aircraft. They're very formal. The whole thing is very formal. They practice this. They get good at it. And they are professionals. That's all you can say. They are real professionals, and they represent the United States Navy and the United States Marine Corps.
This is Walborn on number 5. He's got on a regular green flight.
You're looking at the number 5 aircraft, and that is Commander Ben Walborn. Commander Walborn has just come back to the Blue Angels to fly with the 2021 season, and you just see him as he just exited his aircraft. Wayne, if you're still there, one of the questions I get out on the flight line a lot is women will ask me, why are the Blue Angels all so good looking? And I explain to them that that's a requirement just to be a naval aviator.
That wasn't true when I was on the team. Actually, there's a story. We were flying on an air show in North Carolina, and one of my cousins was there, and my parents were there as well. And my cousin turns to my dad after we had taxied down to the far end of the runway. They were waiting for us to take off, and my cousin says, I think they let the good-looking guys get in the airplane, and they taxi them down to the runway, and then at the other end, they put a bunch of ugly guys in there.
That's one of the other questions that I get asked often is when people come out, they are watching the Blues practice. And I've had people actually ask, so if this is the practice team, is there another team that actually flies the air show?
No,
And,
there's only one.
There's only one.
You wouldn't get enough practice if you were the guy that was the spare. You wouldn't get good enough. You have to practice every day with the same guys every time. That's the only way you can fly that close to each other. Like you mentioned early in the podcast, how you grow to trust everybody on the team. Well, that's absolutely true.